review for the quiz that we're going to do next, this coming Thursday. We are a little bit behind. Remember, we actually skipped, we haven't done the second midterm, so I'm going to do quizzes a bit more frequently now. But I always have an announcement, at least one session in advance. Okay, so this is a quiz on, well, I say adjoints, but what I really want to do is to calculate the inverse using the formula for adjoints. And so I remind you of the formula. You have to you take 1 over the determinant, and then here you put the adjoint of A. So it's really with two things you have to calculate, the determinant of A and the adjoint of A. So the determinant, of course, we know how to do. Remind you what the adjoint of the matrix is. So we have the so-called cofactors, Cij. So that, let me write it this way. So the adjoint of A, what is this? You take the matrix where you have the cofactors, and then you take the transpose. Now that's important. Don't forget that you have to take the transpose. Okay? I admit I sometimes forget it myself too, but that's of course very important. Okay, so here we go. In this particular case, what we need to do, well, we have to first calculate the determinant, so let's do that first. I'm going to use this pivot to make this 0. I'm going to do this a little bit quickly. By now, I hope everybody knows how to do this. So what I get is 1, 0, 3, 0, 1, negative 5, and then so I multiply this with negative 2 and add there. So 0, 1, negative 6. So we have expansion. So I'm expanding now along column 1. This is comes with a plus. So we have left is 1, negative 5, 1, negative 6. That is negative 6 minus negative 5. And of course, we always do the 2 by 2. I remind you, the formula for 2 by 2. Okay, that's something we're going to use all the time here. You make the product of the diagonal and the product of the other diagonal and subtract in that order. Okay, so here we have minus 6 plus 5, that's negative 1. Okay, so in particular the matrix is invertible, so otherwise, of course, what I was doing would not even have sense, make sense. Okay, so C11, let's start calculating that. What is that? Well, C11, first row, first column. So we're talking about this element, but it's the cofactor of the element, so it means you now delete the first row and the first column, and what you left is 1, negative 5, 1, 0. Okay, 1, negative 5, 1, 0, but we also have to think about the signs, and I remind you the signs are plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. They keep changing. In this case, we started from this top part, so there's no plus. There is no sign, I mean. Okay, and then we calculate this thing, and that is just using again this formula, 0 minus negative 5, that is 5. Okay, okay. C12. It doesn't matter in which order you do them. You must calculate all 9 of them. I'm just going to go along this row here. Okay, so now I'm taking this. So in other words, this is what I'm left. 0, negative 5, 2, 0. 0, negative 5, 2, 0. But of course, if I move along a row, the signs keeps changing, right? So we have now a negative sign here. So this is negative, and then 0 minus 10. So there's a lot of minuses, but so the whole thing is actually minus 10. Oops. Okay. C13. That's this one. It comes with a plus sign again. All right. So what is it? 0, 1, 2, 1. 0, 1, 2, 1. So that is 0 minus 2. That is negative 2. Okay. More space. I'm going to try to squeeze it in a little bit. Otherwise it gets, well, I guess I have to copy my matrix one more time here. I'll do it in the bottom. That's a little bit the annoying part of it, of course. It's a lot of calculations, and so on a small screen like this, it's harder to see. Okay, so C13, I did first row. Let's do this second row then, C21. Okay. Second row, first column, so we're talking about this element. So the determinant is 0, 3, 1, 0. 0, 3, 1, 0, sorry, yeah, got a little bit distracted here, yeah. And we have to think about the sign. Remember, now we are doing this here, so we start off with a negative sign, so this would be a negative, that's what I meant to write here. Okay, so that is negative and 0 minus 3, so actually it comes out to be 3, okay. C22, okay, I'm talking about this element now, so it's 1, 3, 2, 0, 1, 3, 2, 0. Now I'm back on a plus sign here, okay. And so we get 0 minus 6, so that is negative 6. Yep. C23, let's see what I can place. Well, I'll put it here. C23 is this element, so we get rid of these two guys. It's 1, 0, 2, 1. 1, 0, wow. 1, 0, 2, 1. But remember the signs, I'll make another copy of them here. I'm taking this one, so that's why I have a negative sign, right? So a negative here. Okay, all these little details, please take care of that, right? So negative 1. Okay. And then finally, I'm doing the rows, but you could, as I said, doesn't matter which order you do it, just make sure that you have all of them. So 3, 1 now, in other words, it's 0, 3, 1, negative 5. 0, 3, 1, negative 5. We are in the plus sign, so let's write it. So this 0 minus 3, that is negative 3. Then 0, C32, that is now, we're talking about third row, second column, right? So 1, 3, 0, negative 5. 1, 3, 0, negative 5, but we are in a negative sign now. Okay, so that is negative 5, so the whole thing is actually 5. Wait, do I do that correctly? I have a feeling that it's something wrong. Let's see. C32, 1, 3, 0, negative 5. Yeah, I think I'm right. Okay. And then finally C33. So we have 1, 0, 0, 1. It comes with a plus sign again. Okay, so that is just 1. Okay, so now what we have to do, remember, is use all these elements and put them in the adjoint. So let's write that the inverse of A is 1 over the determinant, which we calculate to be negative 1. Here is our calculation. Okay, and we're looking at this formula here. And then we make the matrix that consists of these cofactors and then take the transpose. Don't forget that we have to take the transpose too. So what does this now mean? The matrix of this coefficient. Well, here, this is C11. The first row, first column, we get a 5. And so these were the elements in the first row. The second one is negative 10 and then negative 2. Negative 10, negative 2. And for the second row now, here to C21, so we're talking about this one here, these guys here, that is now 3, negative 6, negative 1. And then these guys here will give me negative 3, 5, 1. Okay, so let's work it out a little bit. Well, that is just negative force. And then the transpose, remember, that is meaning that rows now become columns. So I'm going to do this systematically by changing the rows into columns. And then I can use still the negative sign to move that inside, which means moving it in every single element. Changes the sign now. 3, 10, 6, negative 5, 2, 1, negative 1. And so if we want now, we could check, is this the identity matrix? That's a good check always. So we have to multiply. I'm going to make myself life a little bit easier by putting the guy here. 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, negative 5, 2, 1, 0. Of course, I can also calculate A minus 1 times A. It should also be the identity matrix. But if one way works, the other way works too. So let's just check some elements. Let's check this element. Okay, remember that is this row and this column. And as you move to the row, you move to the column, right? So negative 1 times negative 5, that is 10. 0, oh, sorry, no. sorry, this is not a negative here, what I'm saying. Yes, sorry. No, that was utter nonsense what I was saying, right? Okay, so what I have is, sorry, 1 times negative 5, 0 times 10, that's 0, and then 3 times 2 plus 6, so we do get a 1 here, so this is equal to 1. And the other elements should all come out. Let's just check this element here. Okay, so how will we get that element? We would take this row and multiply it with this column. And what should it be? It should be a 0, right? Because remember, this is supposed to be the identity matrix, right? 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. That's what we're asking. Okay, so let's just verify this element. 2 times negative 3, that is negative 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 0 times 1 is 0, so the whole thing is 0. Okay, so that sounds to be correct. Let's do one more, perhaps one here in the back. Let's calculate this element here, the last element. So that would be the first, let's do this in a different color. This row times this column, this gives me this element. And that would be negative 3 plus 0. I keep reading this as a negative sign here, I'm sorry. This is 1 times 3. Okay, so 1 times 3 plus 0 plus negative 3, so I do get a 0 there. Okay, and you can check the rest as well. But I'm saying this is not, I don't need you to do this. This is like extra, you can double check that you have the right answer. But what you need to do is, so I repeat, calculate the determinant first, then calculate all the cofactors. It's 9 little determinants. You have to calculate 2 by 2s. Put them all together, and then don't forget to take the transpose. And then using the formula, you get the adjoint. That's what you have to do on the quiz.